Hi there, what's up, what's down, what's sideways? James here for chronic fatigue syndrome, day 48. Hope it's 48. My friend, my enemy, my constant companion. So, I was gonna do a different video today, but then some things popped up in my YouTube feed and Facebook feed. Um, there's a video and this person, so it's talking about cures, and this person saying these people are saying that they've cured their chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia syndrome with numerology or meditation, and it's hilarious. It's it's like if we had a chronic fatigue syndrome comedy club, then that could be opening one. You're like York on stage. Um, you know what? I cured CFS with numerology. Haha. um, or I cured it with meditation. Okay, so there's a difference between being fatigued, and you can be chronically fatigued, and having chronic fatigue syndrome. There's also a big difference from having something like that and then having it resolved, and you doing other practices, it helps resolve it and you feel better, to having chronic fatigue syndrome and doing those things and thinking it's a cure when it's not. If it was a cure, you could get like 10 people with chronic fatigue syndrome and most of them would get better by doing the same thing. Yes, all cures have like different success rates and stuff like that, but okay, so numerology, I'm gonna numerology. Let's go with meditation. Meditation, can it be helpful? Yes, because it can help anybody who is inclined that way. But to try and sell that meditation will heal your chronic fatigue syndrome is like it's the snake oil kind of thing. Or like, I cured my chronic fatigue syndrome with my diet. Did you now? What diet was that? Oh, I went on okay, right, sure, I'll give it a go. I'm not cured. Like, you can't get 10 of us in a room. It does not cure us. Um, so, like, will your diet, and I'm not, so when I talk about diet, I'm talking about the things that you eat. Not, I'm going on a special diet, like the Atkins diet, or the blah blah diet, or the look good in 21 days diet. That's not what I'm talking about. When I talk about the word diet, I mean, like, what is your diet? What is your food that you're eating? What are you consuming? So, yes, what you're consuming can definitely help you, but that's the same for every human being. Um, some people find that by removing fatty foods, like bad fats, like processed and deep fried fats, sugars, and like brain, like reducing sugars, even reducing meat, all that kind of thing, you can feel better. It's like, yeah, because our bodies, like, it's less work for our bodies to process it. Of course we're going to feel better. Some people feel better for cutting out carbohydrates. It's not a low carb diet. They need to cut out carbohydrates, and they need to get their energy from other sources. Like, that is an actual thing. But to say that everyone should cut carbs is not. It's too generalized. It's not. It's not a cure. So what you eat does have an effect, but that doesn't matter whether you got chronic fatigue syndrome or not chronic fatigue syndrome. A lot of the times I can say to people with chronic fatigue syndrome about, like, food stuff, food suggestions as I can a normal person. I might tailor it differently to someone with chronic fatigue syndrome. For them, I might just say, hey, just try and get 3 things into your body every day. Like, just have some sort of source of food. Don't worry about what it is to start with. Just whatever you feel like eating, eat. You know, that kind of thing. And the only person who can really tell you what you should not eat is a dietitian. Perhaps dietitian. The one when they go study like 4 years in university. Those ones. Or your doctor after they've done a blood test, something like that, and gone, you're allergic to carp. Don't eat carp. You know, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I shouldn't do that, you know. So your personal trainer, they can't give you a detailed eating plan. They can give you eating suggestions. They can give you tips, but they can't give you a detailed eating plan. To sell that meditation will cure chronic fatigue syndrome is just gets me, or ruffles my feathers in a way that I can't really fully express. It's short-sighted and it's rude. It's wrong. It's just, if meditation was going to cure me, I would have been cured years ago. Okay, it's not. Like I said, so I do martial arts. I possess some of those martial arts skills that aren't just kicking and punching. If I possess certain skills where which are very similar to the meditation that you know, if it was going to cure, I would have been cured. So it just riles me that someone who said that they have chronic fatigue syndrome is saying numerology cured me, or meditation cured me, or something like that. It's like, then it's quite likely you didn't have chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay, you were just really tired, or you were chronically fatigued, or you were just fatigued because you weren't looking after yourself properly. You're like, oh no, I was happy in my job and rah rah rah. Were you? Really? Were you happy? Like, were you looking after yourself? Were you being honest with yourself? Were you hydrating? Were you moving? Were you getting like a good source of food into you? Was your mind in a good place at that work? You know, like, truthfully, you know. Oh, the other one is people saying with chronic fatigue syndrome, oh, you don't have to worry, just eat, like, because they want it like for weight management, stuff like that. Just eat. Walking is your best activity. You don't need movement and stuff like that. And just, if you want to live like that, that's fine, but don't go and give false hope to people who are just starting out or who are in a bad place. Okay? We're not here to exist to die. Alright? We're breathing, we're thinking, we're intelligent, we're able to manipulate things with our hands, we're able to move. Our joints move in a way that we can extend and move and pull and climb and push and lift and so, you know, putting limitations on yourself is the second worst thing for me than someone claiming a cure. So if you feel that you've got a cure for CFS, cool. Get 10 people with CFS and do it. But make sure they've got chronic fatigue syndrome and then they're not just chronically fatigued or just really tired. Okay? Get 10. Get 100. Make them all do it. And then when you have like 100 voices saying, we did this, we are now here, yeah, then that can start backing up. But to claim that meditation, or numerology in this one, was the cure is just wrong. Not saying it can't help you feel better. Not saying that. But to claim it's a cure, it just rubs me up the wrong way. However, I'd be really happy to find out that there's a form of numerology or meditation that cures chronic fatigue syndrome. I will hop on that bandwagon. If someone has like, hey James, there's this version of one of those two things that cures you, and all you've got to do is like blah minutes a day of it, I will do it. I will do it, and then I will be an advocate of it. I will be so loud that everyone will hear me. Okay, it's like those vegan jokes. Um, but I've only come across three practices that's had any long-term good effects on my chronic fatigue syndrome. And all those practices, if I break it down to its very core, really just handle the base human necessities of, like, what are you putting into your brain, what are you putting out, and what are you putting into your body, and what are you putting out of your body, as in, like, what movement are you doing. And those three things, look at those three things, and that's all it is. And they're the only things that have had any positive effect. Your mood can also affect your chronic fatigue syndrome. It can lessen the sharpness of it. It can dull the edge. It can not be so draining. Like, it's not, you can, if you're in a good place emotionally and stuff like that, I'm not saying it will cure it, but you will feel better, which is almost as good as a cure, because feeling better is a lot nicer than feeling the same or worse. Like, feeling better sometimes, like a holiday, is like, whee, oh my goodness. And sometimes like simple things like falling in love, that can help you out. It can also take you the opposite direction too. But once again, it's for every human being. So if you've got a cure for chronic fatigue syndrome, share it with 10 to 100 of us, and, like, exactly what you did. No kind of like, oh, but you weren't blah. No, it's got to work for everyone. And then we'll all do it, and then we'll repeat it for the next 100 people. And if it works for most of us, cool, I'll back it. But until then, shh. So I guess there's another little rant for this one. So thank you very much for letting me share with you this day and this little rant of, like, me shaking my head at people trying to sell those things as cures. One day I'll do a video and I'm going to subject it, a cure for chronic fatigue syndrome. I was like, yeah! And it'll just be me holding up a sign like, there is no cure, that we know of at the moment. So thank you very much for letting me share today. If you've got any questions, fire away. Introduce yourself, like, share, subscribe, notification button, and thank you very much. Have an awesome day.